Hi, I'm Marla Niederer from OrsinisAngels, and I'd like to share with you today a step-by-step tutorial on how to create this Victorian Style Angel Ornament. So it does have a little bit of dimension and a little bit of bling, and it's very finished in the back, and it has its own hanger so that if you wish to hang it up, you can. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. As I have my center image, which I printed out on cardstock, and this is taken from the painting that I shared how I drew this and how I painted it on my YouTube channel. And what I did is I took a picture of it and I uploaded it into the computer and printed it out. And then I cut out a couple of star shapes, and they don't have to be these shapes, they could be any shape that you like, and you can use pattern paper or plain, but I use cardstock for all the pieces. So I have two pieces of this center star. I also have, where is it? Here we go. Two pieces of this, which is basically a scalloped edge circle, or it could be a plain circle, whatever you prefer. So it'll be going on to that. And then I have a larger star, and again you can use whatever paper you would like, but I think the cardstock gives it a little bit more support, and I like that. And so this will go over here eventually. And I have a couple of doilies, and then I have two larger scalloped circles, and this will be for the back, and these are some vintage paper doilies. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to emboss some of these pieces. Embossing is not a necessary step, but I want to do that, so I'm going to show you how I am. This is no longer sold, but there's other embossing machines out there. Some of them are digital, some of them are hand turned, like this one is. And basically what I do is I open it up, and then it has several plates. So you just put it in the order, like I have an A and a B plate and then a second B plate for embossing. Anyway, let me move this out of the way so I can show you what I'm doing. And okay, so I have an A plate, a B plate, another B plate, and I have my embossing folder. And different systems use different plates, but basically you're putting pressure onto the paper in between an embossing folder. And this is an all-over pattern, which is what I want for doing this. And I'm going to start out with the smaller star, and I'm just going to put it in between the plate, and then just put the plate in between. So put the embossing folder in between the two B plates, then I just kind of set up my machine, and I just run it through. And usually what I do is I run it through a couple of times. Just to make sure I get a nice emboss. And once I'm done, It adds a little bit of texture, and it's kind of hard to see with a printed, but on the back side, if it was a solid color, you would see more of it. So, and I'm going to do that also with the gray scallop papers. And I think I'm going to skip this because there's really not much benefit unless it was a solid color paper, but I'll try it and see where it goes. But anyway, so I'm putting the gray scallop, the larger one, in, and I'm just doing it again. And you kind of catch the idea. So this is if something you might want to do in your paper crafting. And there you go. So it looks a lot nicer on the solid color papers. I have a 12 by 12 scrapbook piece of paper. My original try was using vintage book paper, but it's so fragile. Although it would be pretty, I just think that it's not really going to work for this project. So I tossed that idea aside and I decided to go with scrapbook paper. So what I'm going to do is just fold 3 pieces, well, tear 3 pieces, 12-inch by 4-inch. And you could cut it if you prefer, but I kind of like torn edges, and I find it easy to do with a ruler and a cutting mat. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just do a fold. And again, I'm not going for perfection. I am just going for pretty, and perfection is overrated. So I'm just going to do a fan fold. I'm not going to bore you while I do all of these, but you kind of get the idea. Okay, so I folded 2 of the pieces that were 12-inch by 4-inch and put one aside for some other use down the road. And what I did was I folded, took it again, put it together, and just kind of folded each piece in half to kind of put together there. And press it together. So now what I'm going to do is just glue those pieces together. I have some miniature clothespins if I need to hold them in place, because I'm using fabric fusion. I guess if you were using a glue gun, it would be quicker and hold them together quicker, but I like the fabric glue for paper crafting. So I'm just gonna kind of press it together at first, hold it for a few minutes, and let it go apart. And actually that's holding pretty well. So I'm just going to set it aside for a second and do the same with the other side. I think I'm gonna, now that there's not a lot of glue, kind of hold them in place for a few. There, and set that aside for now. And what I'm gonna do before I put everything together, I got a little glue on there. We'll see if we can fix that. Is glue some of my pieces together. Okay, so I have extras of like the star because I have backings. And if you didn't see the part before, I did emboss some of the pieces, but that's not a necessary step, that's just an extra step. So I'm just going to glue those pieces together while I'm waiting for these two to kind of mesh. And I do like to use wax paper when I'm gluing. I just think it makes it easier, and I do use a brayer. It's not necessary, but I have one and I use it. I mean, you can use a bone folder, you can use any kind of plastic card, or just your fingers if you like. And then I'm just going to set that aside to dry. Okay. And I'm going to do the same with the rest of the pieces, and I'm sure you've seen people glue things together, so I will go off screen for a few while I do that. Okay, so now that I glued those other pieces together, I'm going to add a little bit of glue in between these pieces so that I can kind of fold it in place. I probably should have used some sort of wire to do this. So next time, live and learn. I mean, this is not the second one I've done. This is the absolute first try. And the more you do, the more you figure out. To this one. Okay, what I'm going to do now is ink the pieces before I go any further. So I'm using Ranger Archival ink in sepia, and I'm just using inking brush that I have, and I'm just going to ink the edges to give it a more vintagey look. from there. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you by doing all of this, so I'm going to go off camera, finish inking, and I will be back. Alright, so I have all the pieces inked, and I'm going to set these aside. Basically, the way I'm going to do this is, this is going to go on the medallion. This will go on top of this, and then this is going to go together, and the star is going to go over it, and then the star is going to go on this, and then this will go in the back. So that's kind of our plan here. So I'm going to start off with these two. So I'm going to try to glue the paper medallion together, and it did get a little out of shape because I had the clips on probably longer than I should have. Lesson learned. Probably would have worked better with a wire instead of gluing the center pieces together. But anyway. And this just gives it a nice layering, three-dimensional effect. And I think I'm going to add, instead of gluing this directly on, I think I'm going to use three-dimensional tape. So I'm going to set this aside and just glue this on top of that. I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes before I add it to the center. And at this point, I'm going to decide how I'm going to hang this. So I have some chenille stems, and I almost think the gold, I don't know, I think I like the silver better. So I might go with that. And I'm just going to take it. I'm going to see where I'm going to attach it. I think I'm just going to twist it. Have a nice hook. And decide if I'm going to put it there. I think I'll put it in the back. And for that, I'm going to clip a little bit of it. So I'm grabbing a little piece of packing tape. To hold that hanger in place. I'm using some 3mm deep foam tape. There, so that gives it a little bit of dimension, as you can see. So now all that's left is a little bit of decorating. If you choose to use glitter or tinsel, I was thinking of putting a little tinsel on the edge, in between. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So, cut a piece. And this is just kind of like, it's not vintage, but it's a vintage style tinsel. there. And then I think all that's left is to add a little bit of glitter. Now I didn't use the paper doily, but you could if you wanted to. Kind of glue it on the back if you wish. I kind of like it either way. But, and then you could kind of write a greeting on the back if that's what you want to do. But I will come back with some glitter. Okay, now that everything is completed, I'm going to add a little bit of glitter. So, I'm just going to add a little glue and glitter at a time. And I'm just using fine glitter that you can pick up in a craft store. You can use whatever glitter you would like, but I decided just to use a little bit of fine glitter. There, and I think I'm going to add a little bit on these peaks too. Okay, and I think I'm going to add just a tiny bit around the circle, and I think for that I might use a paintbrush. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy creating your own version of this.